All right, guys, we should be live now, hopefully with no or minimal technical difficulties. So please do me a favor and let me know in the chat how the stream looks, how everything's coming through. I have the Press X podcast banner up. I should be able to change that in just a second, but I just want to make sure everything's coming through smoothly. Sir Speaks a Lot right off the bat. Sorry I couldn't really get to your super chats earlier. I was having a bit of a problem, obviously, but you're saying, don't think I forgot about you, Solid Snake. I'm petty. You aren't safe. If I need to punch you to save the universe, I'd punch a child first, then you. Wow. All right, not sure what's going on between you and Solid Snake here, but appreciate that nonetheless. So you're saying, see, this is what I mean. Are you guys, for those of you who were here during that disaster of a stream, do you see what I'm talking about? Do you see how this gameplay in the background is coming through perfectly? Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did since the time I was live during the State of Play versus now? Is I restarted my computer. Maybe that's what had to happen this whole time. So, I mean, I'm not live streaming it, but still, you would think that what I'm showing you right now, this 1080p footage in the background, you would think that that would be more strenuous on the computer. Maybe it's not, but wow. Okay, so give me a second. I'm actually going to enlarge this for you guys so we can see it full screen here in all its glory. And it shouldn't cause any problems. If it does, I'll switch it back. And then I'm going to fix my little webcam over here as well. Make that a little bit larger. But holy crap, man. This gameplay that we're seeing, this State of Play, this 15 minutes of just raw gameplay, absolutely stunning. It's all I could think. I mean, I went back and I didn't watch the whole thing from start to finish. I didn't have enough time because I wanted to be sure to get the stream up. I'm actually still looking at it here again, but I watched some of it, and dude, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is looking like a 10 out of 10 game here. Okay. So just to kind of reiterate everything that's going on here, everything that's happening today. I mean, look, the past week and a half, if you're a PlayStation fan, has been really, really good. Also, dude, look at this right now on screen. The density of this city. Who was it? The Cherno who said, if only Cyberpunk looked like this. For real. Now, I know this isn't an open world game, but it doesn't have to be, right? Look at how impressive. Look at how dense this world is. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But the past week and a half has also been incredible for PlayStation fans, specifically PS5 owners. I feel bad for people who want a PlayStation 5 right now and they can't get one. I really do feel bad. I mean, I know it's a first world issue. I know that. But still, I feel bad because I look at Returnal. I see the excitement for Returnal. I see the review scores coming out. I see how awesome the gameplay looks. And I see Ratchet and Clank, especially Ratchet and Clank. And I just looking at how amazing this is going to be, they're both PS5 only exclusives. So you can only play them on the PS5. I genuinely feel sorry for people who want this console and just can't get one. I actually know someone personally who has been trying to get one and he refuses to buy one from a scalper, which is good, but he's just having a struggle, man. To be fair, he's more of a casual, which is fine. But by that, what I mean is he just wants to be able to go on Amazon or walk into a store at some point eventually and buy a PS5. And it's seeming like he's just not going to be able to do that anytime soon. So I hope he's not watching this gameplay. I hope he's not interested in Ratchet and Clank because, dude, I've seen people bringing this up, and I just can't help but get it out of my head is people comparing Ratchet and Clank to Halo. And I know they're two very different games, but dude, I don't know, man. The Caped Crusader is saying PlayStation catching nothing but W's lately. Yeah, for real, man. For real. Like, PlayStation has been on a roll, and I hope they keep the momentum going into May and especially June. I'm assuming June is when there's going to be a big event. I mean, guys, we're seeing Returnal and Ratchet and Clank make waves. Even Returnal is making waves. And I don't mean to make that sound like it's a unexpected thing, because there are a lot of people who, they were watching my video earlier saying it's not surprising at all to see Housemarque getting review scores like we're seeing with Returnal, because they're an amazing studio. But I think a lot of people don't know about Housemarque, and they're going to know about Housemarque now. And the idea that a game like Returnal is making waves right now, and now we're starting to see Ratchet, which is going to make even bigger waves. And then we haven't even seen Horizon in action. We haven't even heard anything about Horizon. We haven't seen a glimpse of God of War. I mean, guys, this is why. This is why. I don't mean to come off like a raging fanboy or whatever. And you know what? Frankly, I don't care if people think I am at this point. But this is why I was literally cringing the past couple of weeks. The past 2 months, basically. All this nonsense about PlayStation is in trouble. They're going in the wrong direction. What about the value? What about PlayStation's Game Pass? I'm like, are you people out of your damn minds? Do you not see what Sony is bringing to the table right here, right now? Now, don't get me wrong. If you're somebody who's feeling frustrated at Sony because you can't buy a PS5, I get that. And I sympathize with you. I really do. I empathize, because that's a good reason to be angry. I mean, what good are these great games to you if you can't play them? And so it becomes easier to kind of join that mentality of like, yeah, forget you, Sony. What are you doing? You're messing up. I get that. Somebody said that to me. They're like, dude, so many people are so upset with PlayStation because they can't buy PS5s right now. I'm like, that's how I'd feel. I'd be fuming. If I couldn't get a PS5 right now and I'm looking at games like this. The Caped Crusader is saying, to those that keep saying this game is for 5-year-olds, shaking my head, this game is for everybody in all ages. Dude, 100% agree. Whoever's saying that, get out. Just get out. This is not a kiddie game. Okay, look, the graphical fidelity that we're seeing here, while it may be a more, I guess you could say, aesthetically pleasing game to like a younger audience, I don't know, man. Like, it just looks so good. It looks so good, man. Like, Insomniac is such a steal, right? Like, Sony acquiring Insomniac is the best thing that could have ever happened for Sony. Like, it really is. It really is. Like, I know people talk about like Naughty Dog is like the crown jewel or whatever for Sony, but I don't know, man. I'm seeing Insomniac put in some serious work with Spider-Man 2018, Spider-Man Miles Morales, and now Ratchet. Holy crap. Samuel Payne with a $100 donation, man. Thank you so much. Coming out of nowhere, coming in big. You're saying keep speaking the truth, MBG. Well, I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying my best. I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I'm trying not to be too fanboyish here, but I mean, goddamn, when you see this gameplay, it's like, this is just the beginning, dude. Thank you so much for that, by the way. That's a very generous donation. I really, really, truly appreciate that, man. Really do. You're always showing support here on the channel through being a member, the donations. Thank you so much, dude. Really, really appreciate that. Goes a long way. But, okay, so I'm going to shift for a moment here, because I'm like trying not to get distracted by watching this gameplay again, because the problem was when I was streaming this, because the stream was so terrible, it was streaming at like 480p at like 3 frames per second, and it was horrible, and I couldn't appreciate it. Look at that transition right there, dude. Look at these transitions. See, this is it, man. This is why I talk about how impressive Insomniac Games is, because look at what they're trying to do with the PS5 hardware out of the damn gate. You're not going to have to wait years to see what the PS5 can do. You're not going to have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. Years down the line. I mean, could you imagine what Naughty Dog, if they're going to make a new IP? Hell, even if they make The Last of Us 3, right? Doesn't matter. Whatever their final, their swan song game is for the PS5, I mean, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like, what that's going to look like. But it's difficult to imagine, because I'm looking at Ratchet and I'm like, this is happening? Like, this is happening just this quick, right off the bat. Right off the bat, just a couple months into the PS5's life cycle, we're already getting something like this. Dude, I'm not trying to make this about Xbox. I'm really not. But I got to mention it, man. I got to mention it. How is Xbox competing against this right now? I need to know. I need somebody to tell me. What does Xbox have that's going to compete against Returnal and Ratchet? If you want to say Halo, fine, but that's coming towards the end of the year. That's probably going to compete with Horizon. What do they have right now that's competing with it? Second Extinction? Dude, I'm sorry, man. If I was like an Xbox only guy, right? And I just wasn't really into PlayStation, I'd be looking at Ratchet and Returnal together and I'd be like, oh, damn, I may have bought the wrong console. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're not interested in these games, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I'm just surprised. You know, I'm just surprised that like everything that's been happening these past couple of months, how the momentum suddenly is like swinging in Xbox's direction because they're doing a lot of good stuff, a lot of exciting stuff. But I always said the same thing, and I always tried to keep that same energy, which is why is the conversation still about the games that are going to be coming later on? Because you notice how I'm sitting here and I'm talking about Naughty Dog's next game on the PS5 or even Sucker Punch, right? But I don't have to sit back and wait for that. I don't have to. I'm getting Returnal tomorrow. I'm literally getting Returnal tomorrow, and I'm getting Ratchet in just a little over a month, right? That's on top of what's coming down the line. So I'm just glad, man. I'm glad that Sony's coming out here swinging, you know? I'm glad that they're coming out here and trying to silence all the naysayers and the negativity. You know, they kicked it off by being like, look, we're going to keep the PS3 store open. We're going to keep the Vita store open. But now they're coming out. They're showing some amazing stuff here with Ratchet and Clank. They're impressing people. And, I mean, look, I'm somebody who follows this stuff, okay? I'm somebody who's really into it. And I'm thoroughly impressed. So I can't imagine, you know, I have to imagine how people are feeling, those who maybe don't follow so closely, right? Primal Plasma, you're saying, can you imagine what Ghost of Tsushima is going to look like? Dude, I honestly can't. That's the thing. I can't imagine how good it's going to look. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be borderline, if not just photorealism, is what it's going to be. The Bow 12, you're saying, or Debo, you're saying, don't forget PS5 has first dibs on Unreal Engine 5. People tend to forget about that breathtaking demo. I can only pray for Microsoft. Dude, look, I'm not trying to talk badly about Xbox, but it's just, I've been feeling the heat. Okay, I'm a PlayStation-centric content creator. For the past couple months, I've been feeling the heat, and I've been just a barrage of Xbox fans coming at me, telling me, listing all these games that are coming, talking about Bethesda this, Bethesda that, the savior of Xbox, Bethesda, Xbox Studios, and you know, wait until they come out. And I'm like, look, so here we go. Devok in 89, you're saying Xbox is going to be the second half. Gunk, Stalker 2, Stalker 2. I'm pretty sure Stalker 2 is not coming out this year. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'd be surprised if it did, and that could be a big game for Xbox. I don't know what Gunk is. Forza Horizon 5, that's not confirmed yet, but if that does drop at the end of this year, I'm on board. I'm going to buy a Series X for Forza Horizon 5. Halo, I mean, you know, we'll see what it does. We'll see what it does. I think it's going to do big numbers because of Game Pass and the free-to-play multiplayer. Starfield, that's the wild card, man. I think if there's anything that Microsoft has up their sleeve that you want to talk about, oh, well, what does Microsoft have that's really going to compete, not just with Ratchet and Clank and Returnal, but, you know, Horizon, assuming that comes at the end of the year. Yeah, it's going to be Starfield if it comes this year. And you're saying, meanwhile, we have Game Pass and big third-party deals. Oh, look, I want you to understand, I'm not trying to make this about, oh, PlayStation's better than Xbox and has better stuff. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying I'm feeling a little bit vindicated right now because I, more than most people, due to, you know, what I do here on YouTube, I've gotten, like I said, I've received a barrage of the fanboys and being harassed and whatnot, and it's like, can we just focus on the games? Because right now, right here, right now, my question is, what is Xbox? If I was an Xbox Series X only owner because I couldn't get a PS5 or I could only choose one, my question is, what would Xbox be giving me within the next 2 to 3 months that can compete with what Sony is giving PlayStation fans with Ratchet and Clank and Returnal? That's a serious question. Because I don't know. Are they bringing something to the table? And if you're going to say, well, it's the second half of the year, well, that's fine too. That's fine. with Xbox, it is all about the waiting game, and that's okay. I don't mean that egregiously. I'm just saying, like, Xbox fans have been waiting. They're waiting for their time in the sun when it comes to the games. I feel like Bethesda's another big promise, and we still kind of have to wait to see. But it's a promise that will at some point deliver. That's the thing. And I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to make it the whole competition thing. I'm feeling a little bit vindicated. That's all it is. I mean, this gameplay is it's I don't want to say it's like mind-blowingly good, but it kind of is, right? Like, this game at the very least looks mind-blowingly impressive visually. But what they're doing with the PS5 hardware and the SSD, and I am just so thoroughly impressed. BBDW, you're saying, love the honesty and passion on your channel. Rarely catch a live stream because of the time difference. It's 8 a.m. Friday here. Returnal Day. Yeah, dude. So I just want to let everybody know, because a lot of people are asking if I'm going to be streaming Returnal. I am going to have a Returnal live stream. The only problem is Amazon's telling me it might not arrive till late at night, much later than I would care to stream if it's true. But I'm assuming it'll get here earlier. So, if I can't stream it tomorrow, I'll let you know. I'll just do a separate video and then I'll stream it on Saturday. But my hope is it will be here in time for me to stream it tomorrow. I'm feeling a little bit intimidated by it. Apparently, it's pretty difficult. Sir Speaks a lot. You're saying, LOL, poor MEG, giving fair praise where it's due. It's called fanboying only because the amount of times you need to praise is so high. Not his fault. Yeah, right. I guess you could say it's like that. There's so much to praise so often. It's like, you're being a fanboy. It's like, well, I'm not trying to be a fanboy, dude. I'm just, I know that I'll be looked at as a fanboy no matter what, but, I try to be fair, right? Like, if there was something here that Sony was showing with Ratchet that I honestly thought was like not as impressive or not good looking, or they're overselling it, I would tell you. Just like with Returnal. I always said with Returnal, I could understand why some people are hesitant, because it's like, we need to see more raw gameplay, right? We need to really hear from people who play it. Like, is this really like a AAA game, or is it a AA and a half game that's trying to be AAA? And now we're finding out, like, oh, no, this is AAA. This is AAA. Magnum Visuals, you're saying, I want Microsoft to keep their Game Pass model and Sony to stay with quality. They seem to give each other competition like yin and yang. Can't imagine Sony like Microsoft. I agree. I think Microsoft is doing its own thing. My whole argument for pretty much, since the time we've talked about Xbox versus PlayStation and whatnot, it's very simple. I want great games from both. And in my opinion, Sony's the one that's been delivering not just the good games, not just the pretty good games or the decent games. No, they've been delivering like the amazing games. Not every single game, but the vast majority of them, right? Especially in the AAA space. And my whole argument is I want to see Microsoft do that. They don't have to copy Sony's formula per se. For example, they don't have to make the same type of games, nor do they have to copy the same type of model. But all I've ever cared about is bring some impressive games, man. Bring not just the good games, not just the okay games, not the mediocre games. Bring the great games. And it seems like Microsoft is trying really hard to work towards that. And that's why I say they have more potential than they ever have. And I'm not trying to talk down on them, like I said. I'm willing to wait at this point, but I'm ready. I'm ready for Microsoft to really show the competition, not just in how much money they can spend. Like, oh, we bought a Bethesda. That's great. But what can you do with that Bethesda? That's what I want to know. The Cape Crusader, because, Sony, they've shown what they can do with their purchases. Look at Insomniac Games, right? Sony bought Insomniac Games for an absolute steal at like $229 million. Look at what they're doing already. Yeah, so the Cape Crusader, you're saying, I honestly think MBG will faint once they reveal the gameplay for Horizon Forbidden West. Dude, that stream's going to be ended for a different reason. Not because of, hopefully not because of technical difficulties, but because I'm just not going to be able to keep it together, man. But seriously, like, what is going on? Look at are you guys having any issues at all with the stream right now? Because on my end, everything's perfect. Why is it that I can stream this 1080p Ratchet and Clank gameplay, no problem, but when I tried to stream the state of play, it's like it's 3 frames per second. It's ridiculous. HMF Senpai are saying, Jim Ryan will let our games speak for themselves. PlayStation has variety for different gamers. Just because you don't like this genre, it's not a bad game. Exactly. There is, and I think that, dude, what we're seeing with Returnal and Ratchet, proof that not only is there variety, but these games are so very different. Both AAA games, both very different. One of them being very risky, that being Returnal. Magnum Visuals, again, you're saying Microsoft can keep their sea of indies. I mean, dude, like, you guys are saying it's good, everything's good, the stream's good. Yeah, I don't know, man. That really disturbed me. That really, like, what happened to the State of Play stream? That really, it makes me nervous because it's like, what do I do when Sony has their big event, right? Like, I want to stream that, obviously. That's going to be the big moment to stream. Am I not going to be able to? You know? Am I going to have to do what I'm doing now and do it afterwards? Which is, I mean, we can make it work. You know, by the way, guys, we have over 1,000 people here, which is awesome. Wasn't expecting that. Please hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 300 likes, maybe 400 likes. Frankly, we should be able to easily get to 500 likes. Really helps the streams out. But while we're still enjoying this Ratchet and Clank gameplay in the background, let's take a second to talk about Returnal, okay? Can we just talk about how this game is... dude, I don't want to get overly aggressive here, but can we just talk about how Returnal is coming out and just right hooking and uppercutting these toxic Xbox fanboys just out of the ring, man, out of the ring. I'm saying it that way because there are three groups of people, in my opinion, right? There are those like myself who always believed in Returnal, who were always excited for it, and always believed it was going to be, at the very least, a very good game, you know? Then there are those that are hesitant, that were always skeptical, that were not fully sold. And I think that's perfectly fine, right? You know, there's actually 4 types. So that's the second type, the people who are skeptical. The third type are the people who look at it and are just like, it's just not my cup of tea. It's just not my cup of tea. Returnal's not a game that interests me. Then there's the fourth type of person, which is the person that has to go out of their way to explain to you in detail what makes Returnal such a bad game, why it looks so bad, why it's going to fail, why it's going to flop, and then laugh at the fact that we have to pay $70 for games while they have Game Pass. And all I can say to that group of people, yeah, I guess, you know, if you still want to feel that way, go right ahead. But you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say Returnal is a game that had a lot of pressure on it, dude. A lot. What do I talk about? You guys remember my last podcast? I think it was one of my streams recently. What is it that we talk about here? We talk about the pressure, sink or swim, do or die. Right? Somebody told me, you know, they tell me, oh, well, that's how diamonds are made, you know, under extreme pressure. And we all know that not every game can be a gem. Not every game can be a diamond, right? But this is what I'm talking about, okay? Housemarque. They've proven themselves as competent game developers and game designers. They know how to make fun, addicting gameplay loops. But they were given the opportunity by Sony, and if you didn't watch my video earlier on the reviews covering what some of the reviews are saying, I highly recommend you do, because towards the end of that video, we talk about Housemarque's, I believe, CEO coming out and talking about how Sony gave them this opportunity, how them working with Sony was such a great partnership because it was a very risky thing, and apparently this game was pretty expensive to make, right? So that's what made it so risky, and the pressure was on for Housemarque. Right? The pressure was on where it's like, guys, you got to deliver something great here. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure if Returnal were to have failed, like let's just say right now it got bad reviews. Let's just say that people were not impressed with the game and it was like, oh, this is mediocre or whatever. I'm pretty sure that would be the end of Housemarque, because the last I heard about Housemarque studio, their studio, is that they were kind of on the ropes, where it's like they were known for making these smaller, more addicting, bite-sized games, like, you know, indie games. And they were saying that this isn't sustainable for us. Like, it's just not going to work. We need to go bigger. And I told you that they tried to make a AAA battle royale. They were in the process of developing that. And I'm sure that there was some carryover from what they were doing with that game, what we're seeing with Returnal now. But could you just imagine if we got a AAA multiplayer battle royale from Housemarque instead of Returnal? And Sony stepped in and they're like, let's do something. Let's do something. And the pressure was on, man. And look at what Housemarque does. Greatness. Greatness comes out of them, because they knew that they had to deliver something great. They knew what the expectations were. They knew that the budget was through the roof. They knew that this was going to be their first time making a AAA game, and first impressions mean a lot. And look at what they're doing, man. I'm proud of them. Sony, Sony, please think about acquiring Housemarque. Look at what they just did. I don't know how Returnal is going to sell. I don't know what the internal expectations are that Sony has or Housemarque has for Returnal sales. Something tells me it's going to sell better than expected for a couple of reasons. Mainly because PlayStation 5 owners are ready. We're hungry. We want more games, more exclusives. This is the first big exclusive. But the fact that it's coming out and reviewing so well, the fact that it's being talked about so positively, I think that's really going to convince at least a good handful of people, a good chunk of people who originally were on the fence. They were skeptical. Now they feel comfortable. They're going to pay that $70. And I think the game's going to sell well. And I'm telling you, Sony, like, we talk about how you don't have to go and acquire a Capcom, a Square Enix. I mean, you could if you wanted to, maybe if you can afford it. I don't know if they can, but that's not how Sony operates. Sony is strategic. They're very intentional with what they do. Housemarque is that studio, Sony. Housemarque is that Naughty Dog before they were Naughty Dog. They're the Sucker Punch before they're the Sucker Punch that they are today, right? They're the Sony Santa Monica was doing great things out of the gate, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like, the potential's there. We're seeing that potential realized. Sony, acquire Housemarque. They're clearly a studio that will do nothing but great things for you while they're under you. And if you want more AAA games, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. So, Sergio saying, forget these game announcements. Sony needs to tell us about the compatible SSDs for the PS5 or I won't have any space for these upcoming games, LOL. Be patient, man. It's pretty clear, in my opinion, that Sony is trying to make sure that everything is working the way it needs to work when it comes to their the compatible SSDs. I don't know if there's any truth to what we've heard about how apparently like it's causing overheating issues. I really hope that's not true. That's genuinely concerning if it is, but it would make sense because that's a lot of heat, right? We know that SSDs they generate quite a bit of heat. So my stance on the SSD storage is I'll be patient, and I think everybody else should, because what we want to make sure is that Sony gets it right. I know it's annoying because it's like, oh, it should have been ready. They're taking too long. You know, they're caught with their pants down or whatever. It's like, I get that, but in reality, if you're somebody who has invested in a PS5 or you're planning to, at this point, you know, don't be angry. Just try to be patient and try to just let Sony do what they got to do, because you want to see them when they announce it and they launch it. You want to make sure that it's done right. You don't want to start seeing reports coming out left and right that, oh, SSD storage expansion is causing PS5s to overheat. That would be, I mean, that's a disaster at that point. You don't want to see that. Bonzer, Dandy, you're saying I'd rather Sony buy Bluepoint over Housemarque. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. If you had to choose, I don't know, man. I'm going to be honest right now. And this is absolutely nothing against Bluepoint, because I want to see Sony buy both. Both Bluepoint games and Housemarque. I genuinely have to ask Sony, why are they not already under you right now? Why are they not first-party studios? They absolutely should be. There's no reason they shouldn't be, right? I know it's why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? Like, I get that, but what happens when the day comes when you don't? What happens when Microsoft says, well, Sony's not buying Bluepoint, we'll buy them. Sony's not buying Housemarque. Look at what they did with Returnal. That would fit perfectly under us. We'll buy them. This is why I'm saying Sony. Now, I mean, we don't know if Housemarque or Bluepoint want to sell. That's something we really can't know. But you're saying they probably don't want to be bought. That's certainly a possibility. I mean, here's the thing. If Housemarque can find this type of success just being partnered with Sony, then it's a win-win. We know that Sony plans to strengthen their partnership, so that makes sense, and I could totally understand why Sony would be like, well, I mean, look, for all we know, Sony has maybe already offered multiple times to buy them, but they're like, no, we're just going to partner with you, But I don't know, man. Sony seems like they're in the kind of position right now where they want studios to prove themselves before they feel comfortable potentially offering them, a check to, like, here, we'll pay you this much to acquire you. Like, what do you think about being acquired? I think Sony wants to see them prove themselves, and come on. Guys, something else I want to talk about real quick, all right? Some of you may have noticed, I put out a tweet earlier talking about Returnal's reviews, and I deleted one of the tweets I put out because I was kind of calling out Jeff Grubb a little bit, and, I just realized, like, this is stupid. Like, I'm not going to keep this up here because, like, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I got to talk about it for a second here, okay? I got to talk about it. I put out a video today where I'm going over all of the review scores, and I noticed at the very bottom, now I don't know if it's changed since then, but I noticed at the very bottom, Jeff Grubb's review, he's from GamesBeat, VentureBeat, and he's pretty well known in the industry, Jeff Grubb. A lot of people know who he is. You're saying Jeff made a response, MBG. Did he respond directly to me? I don't know if he did. If he did, that's not why I deleted the tweet, because I wasn't made aware of it. I deleted the tweet because I'm just like, I'm not trying to sling crap around. It's like, I'll talk about it, briefly here. But it's like, I'm not trying to stir the pot unnecessarily, and I'm not trying, I don't want to take away from the positivity that should be surrounding Returnal, but here I think is a good opportunity for me to mention it. So, VentureBeat, why is this not loaded? Sorry guys, give me a second. Yeah, so VentureBeat, they put out their review, and when I was going over all the reviews on Metacritic, there was 70-something that were positive, right? They were all in the green, all positive, and there were 3 that were yellow. But the one that stood out to me specifically was VentureBeat's, because they gave it the lowest score. They gave it a 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10, all right? And I'm just like, okay. I mean, obviously everybody's entitled to their opinion, but that's pretty low. That's pretty low, right? That's you may hear my son crying in the background, by the way. He's very cranky today. He had a doctor's appointment, and he had to get a little bit of blood work, so he was not happy. So you may hear him crying a little bit and fussing in the background. He's okay. He's okay, but you might hear that. But, I saw this, and I'm like, that's really low. That's a really low score, And look, I had to point out the fact that we did a reaction video here recently, okay? And that reaction video was on an opinion piece that Jeff Grubb wrote. And the title of it was, Jim Ryan Needs to Write a Better Narrative When It Comes to PlayStation. And I deconstructed that article because I thought pretty much not all of the arguments, but most of the arguments were they didn't hold up. They were weak arguments. And to me, it was clear that Jeff Grubb, and it's not just him. I'm not trying to call him out. It was the entire media, and it kind of, I don't know if it still is, but I'm sure you guys all saw it. We were doing reaction videos left and right because there were just all of these opinion piece articles coming out because suddenly PlayStation sucks. PlayStation's the new Xbox One or whatever. And you guys already, what I'm talking about. We saw all this crap, and I'm reading it, and I'm practically laughing because I'm like, well, okay, I guess this is just what they're going to do now, right? And it's worth noting Jeff Grubb was one of these people who did that. And so it was just you see the disconnect there? You see what I'm saying? Where it's like the same person who's writing up this opinion piece article on why PlayStation's not doing so good during a time when everybody's talking trash on PlayStation. And then it's also the same person that happens to give the lowest score. If there were scores that were lower than that from different outlets, I probably wouldn't think much of it. I'd be like, oh, he just, and to be fair, it sounded like he just genuinely didn't like the game. And that, I get that, but it's like, at what point do we draw the line where it's like, you don't have to love the game, and I get that your job is to give your opinion, but maybe it's like you're not giving enough credit where it's due. It's kind of like me with The Last of Us 2. I couldn't stand the story of The Last of Us 2, and I know people don't like to hear that, but that's just the truth. However, I could not give The Last of Us anything probably lower than at the lowest, and I'm saying this is the lowest, for me personally, a 7 out of 10, or even an 8 out of 10. And the reason being is because the reason why, in my opinion, it earns all those points is it does everything else phenomenally well. The story didn't sit well with me, and that's fine. It doesn't need to, but it doesn't make it like a 6 or a 5 or a 4 out of 10. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, And I feel like Returnal is kind of in that group, right? Where it's like it's doing so many things so well. You can't just ignore all of that because you just say, well, the game's too hard, or it got too repetitive. It's like every game's repetitive, man. What are you talking about? Like, every game's repetitive. If that's the argument you want to use to deconstruct a game, you could apply that to any game ever. You know, it's confusing to me. Somebody pointed out to me that this was the same individual who wrote an opinion piece article on Crackdown 3 back when it came out. And let me see if I have the title of the article here, because it's too good. The article title is, and this was published on February 19th, 2019. Ready? Word for word, this is the title of the article. Crackdown 3 is good, and polish doesn't matter. Now, I didn't even read the article because I'm not going to read an article titled like that. I'm going to laugh at it. I'm going to laugh so hard I'm not going to be able to read it. That's the title of the article. Now, maybe that was a, hyperbolic title for clickbait. I'm sure it was. But holy hell, I'm sorry. I'm not taking a review even remotely seriously from an individual who back in early 2019 clearly defended Crackdown 3 by titling an article, Crackdown 3 is good and polish doesn't matter. And then they're going to sit here and tell me that Returnal is a 6 out of 10. No, thank you. I'm pretty sure you're wrong. I know that this is your opinion, but boy, do you seem to have a bad opinion. And that I'm just trying to be real right now, because it's like, oh man, polish doesn't matter for Halo Infinite. I mean, look, maybe somebody will argue with me and they'll say, well, you got to read the article, MBG. It's like, I'm not reading an article with a title like that. Because if the article says something other than, what he's saying in that title, then it's too clickbait. I'm not supporting it. So we have MBG plus facts equals truth bombs. Returnal is already blowing people away. The reviews speak for themselves. I agree, 100%. D-Doc, you're saying Returnal. Won't anyone think about Crackdown 3? Well, I guess some of us are. And we also have a new channel member, Chris B. Thank you so much, man. You're joining the Play Has No Limits tier. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all my channel members, what you guys do for me. I'm trying my best to get more videos out early for you guys. It's difficult to do so because people are always eager for the content, but I really appreciate the extra support you guys give. And Rick, you're saying Grub has had both. Okay, I'm not going to read that just because I'm trying to keep it here, but I see you. You're saying nothing new here. And then we have HMF Senpai. You're saying Sony is also good on the VR market. I would hope down the line for them to allow third-party headsets to be able to play the PS5. Hashtag don't sleep on VR. Yeah, dude. Sony, I feel like, isn't getting enough credit for what they're doing with VR. And we have Jim Ryan dropping in with a little donation. Thank you for that, Jim Ryan. I didn't know you were a fan of the show here. We have London, sorry. You're saying PlayStation just dropped a 30-minute deep dive for Returnal with a Housemarque dev. Gonna check it out after the stream. Yeah, I might have to check it out as well. It's... whose review I really enjoyed, and I find more off, like, the more I watch his reviews, the more I start to realize, like, we share a lot of the same feelings and opinions on games, is Skill Up. He put out his review for Returnal, and what I appreciated most about his review is he acknowledged how there were reports recently that, Sony's being risk averse and they don't want to take more risks and they don't care to take risks and all this stuff. And I'm glad he mentioned that while also talking about everything he loved about Returnal. Now, he was sure to let us know, like, Returnal isn't a perfect game, but man, is it good and does it do a lot well. Now, I know that we're talking a lot about Returnal here when we're supposed to be talking about Ratchet and Clank, but surely you guys understand. It's almost like, which game do we talk about more? What do we highlight more? Because I'm just impressed, man. I really am. You're saying Skill Up loved Cyberpunk, though. Yeah, dude, I got to admit to you guys, this is where I'm finding there's just more and more of a disconnect with me and listening to other people's opinions in general. And this is not a slight at anybody in particular, but I am sorry. I do not want to hear but I played it on PC. I played Cyberpunk on PC. I don't care. Your job, in my opinion, as a reviewer at that point, is to kind of look at the overhead picture here, like the bird's eye view, and realize that just because you were like, I mean, can we acknowledge the fact that CD Projekt Red specifically didn't let these reviewers use their own footage? I mean, at that point, I would refuse to review the game. And because I would assume by that point I'm playing the game in the process of reviewing it, and I'd realize this is broken. Even on PC, I know it wasn't as broken, but it was still an absolute buggy mess, dude. So I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I'm tired of people always doing this thing where it's like, well, you know, it has potential. It's like, no, I don't want to hear. Yes, Cyberpunk is a scam. Cyberpunk is the most shameful piece of software ever created, in my opinion. It is. Not because it's that bad, but you know what makes it that bad? You know what paints it that bad? Not the game itself. This is a unique situation where the marketing, the deception behind it is so egregiously terrible that even if this game didn't get marketed the way it did, and they kind of can't, like, let's just say CD Projekt Red came out and they're like, yeah, the game's going to be kind of broken. Okay? I mean, people would still be mad. People would still have a negative view on it, but I feel like it would be like, well, okay, they just kind of suck, right? Like they just suck at managing their games, and they clearly screwed up. But the fact that they knew, like this is garbage and we're going to sell it to you. This is why you want to know why I'm a Sony fan? Sony's the one that has the balls to come out here and be like, out of our store immediately, just basically give them the finger and say, yeah, no, get out. You know how much money Sony lost from Cyberpunk sales by doing that? Dude, this is why. I know that this is I know that this is getting really off topic here, but it's like, look at Ratchet and Clank, dude. Ratchet and Clank, people are gonna be like, well, Ratchet and Clank is not anywhere near as ambitious in scope and scale. It's like, it doesn't need to be, and the developers, that being Insomniac Games, realize that, right? No one at Insomniac Games is like, we're gonna make the greatest, most insane open world. Like, I applaud CD Projekt Red's ambition, but their ignorance to just like how ridiculous it becomes. It's like, dude, I'm just saying, I remember there were people coming to me trying to tell me how I need to stop hyping up Sony's games and I need to start hyping up Cyberpunk. And I always had a very, I don't know, I was always skeptical about Cyberpunk. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I was always like, I don't know, man. Like, I think we need to wait and see. And we saw, all right. The Caped Crusader, you're saying Cyberpunk was a scam and CD Projekt should be arrested for robbery. I mean, dude, I don't know if you guys saw on Twitter. I saw that one of their Twitter accounts, CD Projekt Red's Twitter account, they were kind of celebrating 13.7 million copies sold in 2020. And I tweeted, and I wasn't expecting it to get as many likes as it did. And I wasn't trying to ratio them per se, not that I did, but I was just simply saying, like, I don't think this is something we should be celebrating. Because it's disgusting. I'm sorry, it's disgusting. Like, no one's saying you have to come out here on your knees begging for forgiveness and talking trash about your own product, but my God, go away and don't come back. Like, if you ever come back with a game that's good, and just show that game. Just drop it. Just be like, here's our game. It's really good. And do that. No more marketing for you. If there's any publisher, okay, that or any developer that lost the right, in my opinion, to market a video game at CD Projekt Red, their marketing license should be revoked. That effing game, you're saying, believing in CDPR because they made one game. And that's what's sad about it, is like, you could tell that they can do something great, but Keanu Reeves deserves better. If Keanu Reeves was going to be in a video game, it should have been a AAA John Wick game made by Sony or something, or just another publisher that's more competent, or have Rockstar Games make Max Payne 4 and Keanu Reeves is like the villain or something, or a new character that teams up with Max Payne. Now that would be amazing. That would do Keanu Reeves justice, right? Not CDPR. Anyway, yeah, a game like Sifu, right? Even an indie game would be great. I know there was an indie John Wick game. Anyway, you're getting a little bit of we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, or I am anyway, talking about Cyberpunk. But I'm not trying to make this a negative stream. I know I'm kind of like trashing on things a lot, but it's just because it's like, it's like, what's it going to take for people to just kind of hush? You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, I've been there. I've overstepped my boundaries at times. But at this point, it's like, can we just, if Keanu Reeves can play MBG in the MBG game, yeah, right? Can we just not lose sight of what is most important here? And that is playing great games. Doesn't matter where you're playing them. Doesn't matter, what your preferred platform is. But I just think that people are too quick to get away. They're too quick to buy into the media and the opposition, right? They're too quick to just be like, oh yeah, like things are bad because this guy said so, and this outlet is putting out an opinion piece saying bad things. It's like, just go, just go, like just go watch the games, watch the gameplay, see the gameplay, and play the games. And that's all it is. And I don't know, man. I watched this gameplay for Ratchet and Clank, and it truly amazes me what Insomniac games can do. I don't mean to keep gushing over it, but it's just, you're saying check out the PlayStation channel, MBG. They dropped a deep dive on some Returnal gameplay. I'll have to check it out. Am I going to play Among Us? Maybe. I'm not going to put that on right now, though, because, I'm just going to keep playing the Ratchet gameplay. It's worth seeing. So we have CI. You're saying, I'm glad Sony has that cancel culture power, so every developer / publisher is going to think twice to release cash grab games. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the term cancel culture because there's a lot of negativity associated with it, a lot of not so great stuff. But in this case, it's like, if Sony has the power to not cancel a game before it's done, but basically make a publisher be like, well, we were going to release this, but seeing that Sony could potentially kick us off the store, if we don't finish it or polish it, I'm not going to complain about that. Yeah, like it's not some crazy rocket science we got to figure out here. It's like, put your game out to purchase on a store when it is done and ready. If it has a couple of bugs, no big deal. If it needs a patch or two, no big deal. There's a big difference, though, between a couple of bugs and a broken game. Kendall Fire saying, you got to admit that Microsoft is great at marketing. They have distracted people from the fact that they haven't dropped an exclusive in years. Dude, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm not faulting Microsoft. I mean, I am to an extent, but I can't fault them that much because it's like, yeah, like they're doing their job, pulling the wool over people's eyes. I'm just trying to pull it off of people's eyes and be like, guys, can you look at it for what it is? And I'm not like, look, there are Xbox dudes who leave me these lists of games. And it's like, I'm not saying that these games are bad because I don't know. And I'm not saying that they don't have potential, but it's just, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not sorry. It's just the truth. Microsoft has not proven themselves when it comes to the games. Not just from their first party, but with their partnerships as well. They still have so much to prove. And I'm not going to sit here and make it sound like they did prove it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Halo Infinite gameplay we saw last year is on the same level as what we're seeing with Ratchet and Clank right now, or even Returnal. It's not. Returnal looks better than Halo. Ratchet and Clank, frankly, I'm sorry, dude. Like, we haven't seen Halo since that gameplay reveal. I'm going to assume that much has changed. But this Ratchet and Clank 15-minute gameplay demonstration absolutely tears that Halo gameplay that we saw last year in half. It just does. And, if you want to make an argument, well, it's going to be a lot better this time around, because they spent time working on it. Yeah, you're probably right. But I said it before, I'll say it again. Somebody at Microsoft, probably Phil Spencer or somebody, Matt Booty, looked at that Halo gameplay and said, yeah, this is good enough to show. So that gives you a good insight into what their quality bar is, like the bar that they set, that they had to hit before something's good enough. It speaks for itself, and it speaks volumes. Phil Spencer, ironically enough, is apparently super chatting me. I don't think you're Phil Spencer, and I don't think that other guy was Jim Ryan, but I'll entertain it as if it is. MBG, can you hook me up with Sony? Unfortunately, Phil Spencer, I cannot. I'm sure you have more than enough power to make that happen. More power than I do, obviously. So, I don't know, man. I mean, we're over here. I guess I could say this, right? If you're a PlayStation fan and you are lucky enough to either have a PlayStation 5 or be able to buy a PS5 now or within the next month or two, we're eating good. We're eating good. Because you know what? All it takes is just 1 or 2 months of Sony being a little bit more quiet, maybe not having as many game releases. That's all it takes. And suddenly everybody turns on them. Everybody turns on them while they're making some business decisions, right? Some business changes. And it's like, I guess we all just forget that Sony was the one with a launch lineup. Sony was the one delivering Demon Souls. Oh, but Demon Souls is just a remake. Shut up. Just shut up. Demon Souls is an amazing game on PS3 and PS5, and it deserves to be played. Okay? Top quality PS5 exclusive there. Remake or not. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Oh, but it's just DLC. Shut it. Just shut it. No one wants to hear it. It's not just DLC. Well, it's just DLC that sold really well. No, it's not. No, I challenge you. I challenge you. Go play Spider-Man Miles Morales. Do everything you can do in that game. All the main missions, all the side missions. Do some trophy hunting. Then come back to me and tell me it's DLC. You won't. You won't, because you'll realize, okay, this isn't actually DLC. An expansion, yes. DLC, no. Standalone expansion. Sackboy, right? I mean, Godfall was a dud, but the point is, Sony had a launch lineup. Astrobot, amazing game. Almost like Nintendo quality right there, coming from Sony. Amazing game. So it just blows my mind that people so quickly, it's like, I guess it's the Xbox fans that really were just looking for that vindication, where it's like they want that turnaround. They want that comeback. And I'm sorry, it's not here yet. It's not. It'll arrive when Microsoft brings the games. When the games arrive, the comeback arrives. All Microsoft did was money hat. They are giving you a lot of value. They are giving you a lot of bang for your buck, but they're not giving you games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They're not giving you games like Returnal. They're not giving you games like Horizon. And you could argue, well, maybe they don't need to. Maybe they don't. But I ask, what are they giving you then? You know, Stalker 2. I mean, I've been hearing about that game, and it actually has me interested, but I don't know much about it. Microsoft's too busy marketing Game Pass and marketing MLB The Show than they are marketing Stalker 2. Maybe I'm just not paying close enough attention, but maybe that's going to be a game. I don't know, dude. What I do know is Sony's putting this in front of my face, man. They're like, look at this gameplay. Like, make sure you watch this gameplay, MBG. Don't miss this Ratchet gameplay. Check out this Returnal gameplay. Bonzer, you're saying, I hope Insomniac gets to make more Resistance games. I think they will at some point. I think there's potential for sure. Maybe a third, smaller team remaking some games, potentially, or doing another one. Carlos, you're saying, this is why I'm happy with Sony's... Oh, things glitching out a little bit. You're saying, this is why I'm happy with Sony's more quiet approach over Xbox executives pretending to be everyone's Twitter buddies. Dude, I'm so sick of that crap too, man. You know? Like, just go do your job, you know? I'm sorry. Like, you're not fooling me. Like, everybody holds these executives to the comments they make and the quotes, which makes sense because we should. But, like, last time I checked, Phil Spencer's the one. What did he say? Can somebody remind me what Phil said for E3 2020? He made some, like, bold statement. There's going to be mic drop moments or something. Somebody said that at Xbox at E3 2020, or not. It wasn't even E3, but at their event. And it was like, yeah, the only mic drop moment was how disturbing Halo Infinite was, how disturbed that game was after all these years. That was the only mic drop moment. Anyway, I'm starting to go on that Xbox rant stuff that I do, and I'm trying not to do that. I'm doing a bad job, though. Larry Loves Gaming, you're saying, are you going to have a live stream about your E3 predictions? Would love to hear your feedback. Yeah, dude, we're going to talk all about that as we get closer to it. I'm very interested. You know, people think I'm an Xbox hater. I mean, I'm an Xbox doubter. There's a difference. I'm not a hater. I used to be an Xbox hater. I'm over that now. I'm just now I started here. If you can see, I don't know. I started here as an Xbox hater. I've upgraded to an Xbox doubter, and I hope that at some point in the future I can be an Xbox supporter. It's as simple as that. And so I'm hoping to see some big things from Xbox at E3 this year. Especially now that they have Bethesda. Saying MBG, admit it, you like PlayStation. You got me. I like PlayStation, all right? Maybe, people say, oh, maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I don't necessarily know that I'm biased, more so that I'm just confident, man. Like it's hard for me to not feel confident in Sony. Like, it's the same reason why I was confident in Returnal. Okay, I was confident in Returnal. Well, I mean, obviously because of Housemarque's track record for making fun games to play. So I knew that they were going to make a fun game to play. I was a little bit, curious though, like, is Housemarque going to be able to do this? Are they going to be able to nail this with their first AAA game? There's that nervousness, that skepticism, that doubt, right? But the thing that removed that doubt is, well, Sony's involved. And Sony has a keen eye for quality. And they have a bar that they want developers to hit, or at least try their best to. And they will try to help them out as much as they can. And that's what gave me the confidence, to believe in Returnal. And it's just like I said, I don't know that we should be saying, if you love a game, buy it at full effing price. But I think what we should be saying is, if you believe in a game, go buy it at full effing price. Go support the devs if you believe in it. All right? That's, I believe in Ratchet and Clank. Look at this. I'm seeing and I'm believing. People say I'll believe it when I see it. Well, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing with Returnal. I'm seeing with Ratchet. I mean, 2 AAA exclusive games within the first 6 to 7 months. And it's not actually, it's more than that. If you count Demon's Souls, right? If you count Spider-Man as a AAA, saying you believe in Destruction All-Stars. Yeah, dude, if there was one game that was concerning to me, it was Destruction All-Stars. And I'm just glad. See, this is where I still feel confident in Sony, obviously, because Sony's smart enough to know, we should put this on PS Plus. You're saying, MBG, all these games are because of Sean Layden. We won't know. What I will say, so I've seen people bring that argument up, and I want to talk about that for just a moment here, because people were bringing up, they were like, well, MBG, you have to understand that these games, for example, Returnal, right? Returnal was greenlit by the previous leadership, and a game like Returnal will not be greenlit with the current leadership. Here's what I'll say to that. If that's true, because the honest to God truth is, we don't know if that's true or not. We don't know. I mean, you could argue that maybe you could have seen it get canceled if they really didn't believe in it. But if that's true, okay, if it's true that Returnal was greenlit under Sean Layden and Shuhei Yoshida and whatnot, and Jim Ryan had nothing to do with that, and if Jim Ryan was in charge at that time, he would have never greenlit it. Well, that is disappointing to think. But if that is true, here's the silver lining. Maybe now Jim Ryan, who before maybe was a doubter in a game like Returnal, was a doubter in believing that a studio like Housemarque should get the budget that they received, and that they won't be able to do it, right? Or maybe even Herman Holst, I don't know. Maybe it was Herman Holst. Maybe he was the one that would be doubting it. This should make them rethink that. This is tangible proof right in front of their faces. Again, we have to see how it sells. We don't know how it's going to sell, but if that's true, this should start, kind of swaying them and being like, oh, well, damn, we didn't think Returnal would be worth it. We didn't, maybe it was too. I mean, we don't know these things, and I wish we could know, but we don't. But I will say this, regardless of how well Returnal ends up selling, I'm just very happy to see Housemarque have their time in the sun. I hope that the game sells well, because it looks like they deserve it. And if it does sell well, I think it's well earned, and I hope that whoever, Jim Ryan, Herman Holst, whoever's over there, I have to imagine they're feeling pretty good about what we're seeing with Returnal, because if there was any internal doubt, well, then Housemarque not only proved people wrong, the gamers wrong, right? Like the people who are maybe doubting this game from the outside, but they're also, in my opinion, proving potentially internal people there at Sony who were doubting it. I don't think anybody over there at Sony was doubting it, but if they were, well, I guess they were proven wrong. You know, it's hard to say. These are things that we will never know. Maybe not until years later. But let's see here. D-Doc, you're saying, but Phil and I are best buddies, he said. He even gave me a friendship bracelet. I don't know, man. I don't know. You're saying Jeff Grubb is having a meltdown? Oh, geez, I hope not. It's not that serious, you know? Like, I mean, I look, just to speak to that for another moment, I just don't know that he was the person that should have been reviewing Returnal. That's all I'm saying. You know, I mean, if he didn't write that negative, you know, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, you know, overly critical piece on PlayStation like 2 weeks before, probably a week before he got the game to review, it's weird. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense. To me, it almost feels like Sony sending a review code to like these Xbox YouTube channels. You know, it would be like Microsoft sending me a review code of the Medium. Like, yeah, no. Not going to happen, you know, like for good reason, because I'm probably not going to have anything good to say about it. You know, I do have that bias attached to my channel and I don't hide it. And that's why, like, you know, I'm okay with, here's what I stand behind. You ready? I obviously have a bias towards PlayStation, but what I will tell you is I buy these games with my own money out of my pocket. So if you think for a second that I'm going to come on here and lie about, you know, or basically overhype a game that I'm secretly disappointed with, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen when I'm buying these games $70 a pop out of my own pocket. Okay? That's all. I mean, you could argue that maybe that adds more credence to certain reviewers because it's like, well, they're not paying anything, but I don't know. I don't know, man. It's weird to me. It's just weird. It's weird. Let me see here. So Kendall Fire saying, notice how Xbox dudes have been hyping remote play / cloud streaming years after calling the same features trash when Sony had them. Well, that's how it goes, dude. That's how it goes, you know? And I've been burned by this. Look, you want to know, people think I'm so fake or whatever. No, I'll tell you right now, I made a video in 2019 ripping Xbox apart for making a digital-only console, the Xbox One S All Digital Edition, just to find out Sony was doing the same thing with the PS5. I will say this, my argument for Microsoft was that they were seemingly, Microsoft was always more aggressive in pushing away physical media than Sony has been traditionally. So that's why. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, like, you know, I get burned by those things too. And just like that's how it goes. It's a pendulum that swings back and forth. The problem, as I always said, will be the people who constantly defend stuff that there's no defense. When you defend something where there's no defense, you're just, in my opinion, you're just making yourself look bad. If you were wrong, if you screwed up, just admit it. People are very forgiving, man, you know, and that's what rubs people the wrong way. When you basically, you know, you become some kind of rock that doesn't move and you're like, no, I'm here no matter what. And it's like more and more stuff comes out. It's like, dude, just admit you were wrong about it, or just admit that you were off the mark. You know, I've had to do it many times. There will be people that'll hold it against you forever, but those people were never going to support you in the first place. I promise you. We have CI, you're saying Returnal versus the Medium. If both were $70 and you didn't play it before, which one would you choose? Dude, come on. That's too easy. You're lobbing it up for me to knock out of the park too easy. Returnal every day, all day. Nothing against the Medium, but the Medium is a game that could never be sold at $70. Nor does it seem like it was ever intended to be sold at a price like that. Returnal, I think, was a bit of a harder sell because they're a little bit unproven in the AAA space, but we're seeing that turn around, right? But yeah, easy one, Returnal. Question mark, you're saying Xbox Game Pass is taking the safe route, and that doesn't sit too well with me, and I feel that it's going to do more harm than good with them in the long run. It's difficult for me to discuss Game Pass, honestly, because I feel like I'm fighting people needlessly. For example, if I say I don't know about Game Pass, and I don't care about Game Pass, and to me, it's like it's not about the value it's offering. People get really upset and they just start screaming at me. And you're like, no, it's the greatest value ever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I feel like it's impossible for me to fight. And because of that, I don't want to fight it anymore. All I will say is let's just see what happens. Okay, let's see how Game Pass evolves. Let's see what type of games Microsoft brings over the next couple years going into this generation into Game Pass. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, and it will be like the greatest thing ever, to the point where Sony's like, well, damn, we got to follow them now. We got to do this exact same thing, or it won't, I just, what I know is I don't care for Game Pass. I don't care for the most of the games that launch into it. And look, when Microsoft releases a game, for example, Hellblade 2, I'm pretty confident that Hellblade 2 is going to be at the very least a very good game. I will buy a physical copy of that game at full price because I want to support Ninja Theory and the great game that they made. That's what I will do. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, Microsoft's letting me play it for $10. And I mean, yeah, Ninja Theory, they're going to get their money. They're protected by Microsoft. They don't need my money, but it's a gesture. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm trying to make a statement, and my statement is, you did a really good job, and I want to reward you for that. Like, you earned my money. You know what I mean? That's why I say to Returnal when I'm congratulating Housemarque, well earned, because that's what it is. It's well earned. So let me see. We also have Aaron. You're saying Housemarque's deep dive was uploaded 30 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out, dude. A lot of people are telling me about that. So here's a quick one for you. I don't know if we'll talk about this per se in the podcast on Sunday, but are we thinking God of War is coming out this year? We could all agree God of War is not coming out this year, right? Like, it's definitely not. One thing Sony said, by the way, that I didn't cover in my recent video, we talked about Sony's earnings report, and I'm not going to spend much time talking about this because I know that a lot of people don't care about that stuff. Let me tell you something, though. All right? One of the things Sony said that I didn't cover in that video is that they plan to make more money off of their first-party games for this fiscal year than they did their last fiscal year. You really need to pay attention to that, because Sony made so much money from their first-party games last fiscal year because of the games that launched. I want you to think about the past year, basically, right? Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2. I'm pretty sure Spider-Man Miles Morales was in there as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that came out fiscal year 2020. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that's crazy to me, because the fiscal year, I believe, ends in March of 2022. So what I can tell you is God of War may not be coming this year, but you better believe Sony's going to try to have, you're saying 11 exclusives in 2020. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that sounds about right. You better believe Sony's going to try to have, you're saying don't forget Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, they made a lot of money off that. I don't know if they count that as, that's not first party though. So, but you better believe God of War, Sony wants to have God of War out before the end of this current fiscal year. So if it doesn't come out in 2021, it will most likely be out, maybe, I'm thinking the most likely date, February 2022. So could you imagine getting Horizon Forbidden West in like November of this year, and then God of War Ragnarok, or whatever it's going to be called, in February of 2022? Dude, that'd be too much. That's overload. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that because, that's counting Ratchet and Clank, that's counting Returnal, and probably some other games that we don't know about yet. Sony can generate this amount of excitement, this amount of hype, without doing much of anything except, wait for it, you ready? Except, hold on, how many of you can predict what I'm about to say? I know some of you can, right? I know some of you can predict what I'm about to say. Sony can make this amount of noise. They can do all of this by just doing what? What are they doing? It's not rocket science. The games, you're close. You guys are close. Flops. Somebody says flops. By doing nothing. No, I don't agree with that. There you go. Ninpo Sama, you're saying let the games do the talking. And maybe MBG. Let MBG do some talking too, but let the games do the talking, man. I gotta tell you, like, this is exciting to me. It's exciting to see that that's not just a BS marketing slogan that Sony says, that Jim Ryan says at the beginning of their first event in 2020, building up to the PS5, right? It's not just a marketing slogan. They're legit about that. Like, they're dead serious. Like, no, we're letting the games do the talking. Granted, let the developers do some talking as well, right? But the developers are talking about their games. Does it get any better? I mean, yes, it's going to. It's going to get better, but I love it. You love to see it, man. You love to see it. This isn't about Sony trying to convince you they're the best value proposition. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sony's doing a great job with PS Plus, the games they're offering, as well as the Play at Home initiative, which we're going to hear more about that soon, apparently. But they don't feel the need to constantly come out here and be like, but this and that and this and that. Like, no, they're like, here's a game. Check it out. You know, I know people are like, oh, the blog posts are so boring, but are they? Or is Sony being smart because they're not trying to overhype something that doesn't need that amount of hype yet? I've seen people be like, oh, well, what Sony's doing with the blog posts by announcing Firewalk Games and their new multiplayer exclusive and Haven Studio, that's too boring. No, that's smart. You know, these studios are still in the early phases and they might not have stuff ready to show yet. This is how you do it, through a blog post, so people don't get their expectations all out of whack. You know, Sony made these mistakes in the past and they're not doing it anymore. They're literally letting the games do the talking. It seems like Sony's like, do you have a game ready to show? And they're like, no. Then when you do, bring it to us. We'll show it. We'll let it do the talking. Or we can do a little blog post, right? Look at that one game, that new horror game that was announced. What was it called? Abandon. Yeah, they didn't need a big thing for that. They didn't make a big hoopla out of that. They didn't give that its own state of play. They're like, here's a blog post, because that's all it needs right now. When you're ready to show some gameplay, we'll maybe show it at an event or something like that. Or we'll drop a big trailer on our channel. Something like that. That's smart. I think that's smart. Sergio, you're saying in that article, Crackdown is good and polish doesn't matter. Jeff Grubb also mentioned that he didn't enjoy playing God of War. Who else has said that? Yeah, I don't know, man. Dude, I was a jackass back in the day. Like when God of War dropped and I was still like in my Xbox phase, I like couldn't deal with what was happening, because at that time I was like sitting there being like, you know, with my Xbox foam finger, like, Xbox is coming back, people. And everybody's like, oh, this guy, man, when's he going to wake up? And God of War dropped, and I was like, but State of Decay 2's coming out. You guys watch State of Decay 2. And everybody's like, oh, God, like, this guy, what is he saying? And I was very excited for State of Decay 2. Didn't live up to my expectations, unfortunately. I was very excited for it, though. And I wasn't excited for God of War because I was like in some weird denial mode. And this is why I say I talk about these Xbox dudes the way I do, because I've been there, man. That's why they hate me so much, because they know I used to be that, man. And it was bad, because to me, I was like, God of War's overhyped. You know, God of War, it's overrated. I did the same thing that all these Xbox dudes are doing now, and they still do, where it's like, it's not that good, right? And then I played it. And the title of my video was the greatest game I almost never played, because if I had kept that mentality, I would have never played it. And I would have just been in this delusion bubble of like, oh no, it's just an overrated game. And when I played it, I was like, holy shit. I had like a crisis, because I was like, I had this YouTube channel that I made, and, you know, I wasn't very big at the time, but I know that there were people who still followed me because I was an Xbox channel. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm about to piss a lot of my Xbox fans off, because God of War is like, I'm not going to lie, I think God of War is the greatest game I ever played. Like, very close to it. It's hard to think of other games that are better than it, but yeah. So Crackdown 3, I'm grateful for Crackdown 3, though. And I'm grateful for God of War, obviously, but Crackdown 3 was the game that snapped me out of it, dude. After playing God of War, I was like, okay, this is like the greatest game I ever played, but I still think Xbox can do it. Come on, Xbox. I even made videos at that time. I was like, Phil, like, this is what you can learn from God of War, right? So I was like in this mode of thinking where I'm like, Xbox, like, dude, look at what Sony's doing. You need to do some of this. Rather than just thinking, maybe I should just go play more PlayStation games and make that the place where I play because I clearly like what they're doing. I was like, no, Xbox, do this. And I started to realize they're not going to do that, at least not anytime remotely soon. And then Crackdown 3 came out and I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. That's literally what I titled my video. The video thumbnail was I'm done with a picture of Crackdown 3 and Phil Spencer. And I lost it because I'm like, you failed me. You failed me. I'm glad though, because like, dude, to think I could have missed out on some of these games is a disturbing thing. It's a disturbing thought. Carlos, you're saying don't ever switch back to Xbox. Well, here's the thing. I'm over those days of like, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know people call it the console wars. I don't like calling it console wars because that implies it's like super serious, right? Like, oh, this is a war. Like, no, it's not that serious. At the end of the day, we just want to play games, you know? What it's about, in my opinion, it's about the competition. It always has been, and it always will be. And that's all it is, man. Like, when I talk about the idea of going back to Xbox, it's not that serious. By the way, I know that my webcam's really dark. I don't have any lights on in my room. I'm probably not going to be going too much longer with this stream, but it's not about, oh, well, you know, Xbox needs to win me back so I can throw away my PlayStation or get rid of my PlayStation or, you know, put away my PlayStation or stop playing it. No, what it's about is at this point, Xbox, I want you to show me games that get me as excited as what Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is doing right now for me. I want you to make a big deal out of your games. And when you do make a big deal out of your games, like you did with Halo Infinite, please just do better than that, okay? I don't need Halo Infinite. Like, I've never been a big Halo fan, but here's a good example. Starfield. Although I don't know if I can count Starfield because if we see Starfield and it's like not good, like if Starfield's like, oh boy, this is not at all what people were expecting, and it's just like people are like, oh, this is bad, facepalm. I don't know that I could blame Microsoft too much because it's a Bethesda game. It's just Microsoft happened to buy it. I think it's going to be good though. I think the reason why I think Starfield's going to be good is, as I said, Sony wanted to lock up Starfield, so that tells you something. But I'll use Hellblade 2 as an example, okay? Like, again, a game I'm excited about. Hellblade 2 is a game that Microsoft is desperately going to need to not just be good. It needs to be great. It's okay if it's not great. I'll probably still enjoy it if it's just good, but it has the potential to be a really great game that, frankly, Hellblade 2 seems to me like the type of game that you would expect to get from Sony, but this time you're getting it from Microsoft. And I think that that's what they need. That will be great for them. And what's going to happen is I'm going to buy an Xbox Series X, hopefully, if I have the funds and there's one available for me to buy. And then I'm going to buy that game and I'm going to play it and I'm going to talk about it and be like, guys, this is what we've been waiting for from Xbox. Does that mean I'm going to be like, well, if I'm going to play Hellblade 2, then I clearly can't play, I don't know, maybe, I guess, Horizon, right? Like, I can't play Horizon and Hellblade 2. Like, no, that's just stupid. But that's the thing is, like, I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Xbox to get me as excited for their games as Sony does getting me excited for their games. Sony doesn't just walk the walk, they talk the talk, right? I said that backwards. They don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And we're seeing that. It's like, they're not all smoke and mirrors. They're not trying to artificially hype me up. When they get me hyped, it's because they actually have something great, right? Ratchet and Clank, they can come out here and confidently show 15 minutes of raw gameplay, like uncut gameplay, because it's going to be a great game. They don't have to kind of hide it. They don't have to convince me. No. Again, they're letting the games do the talking. Right now, Microsoft's been doing a lot of talking. Not much of it is, I mean, it has been around games, but they're not letting the games themselves do the talking. Do you understand that? And when Microsoft gets to that point, I'm going to feel a lot better about Xbox. And I want to be excited about Xbox. People keep telling me Forza Horizon 5 is coming out. the end of this year. I hope it's true. I love Forza Horizon 4, and I want to play that on Xbox Series X. That'd be amazing. But it's a known quantity, right? Like, we know what Forza is. Somebody put out a tweet. Actually, I want to find this tweet if I can. They put an image of all of the high-rated Metacritic Xbox One games, and I counted. There were 15 games total. 10 of them were Gears, Halo, and Forza. And the other ones, I think, were Ori, I believe maybe Cuphead. There was another one there, 2 Ori games, right? And it's just like, I responded by saying the amount of Halo, Gears, and Forza on that list is unhealthy. Sunset Overdrive was on that list. But, we need to see more than that. And the time has come. So we have Monkey Ken 8. You're saying, as a PlayStation fan, I subbed to you when you were in Xbox channel because I had just bought an Xbox One S. Crazy to see where you are from then. Yeah, I mean, dude, I just felt slighted by Xbox, man. I bought into their 6 teraflop marketing and with the Xbox One X, and I was just let down, man. And then I started playing some of Sony's games, and the rest is history. That effing game, you're saying, would you defend Halo Infinite if you were still an Xbox channel? I think the question is this: if I was still an Xbox channel, you can tell I've been talking too much. Would I be able to defend Halo Infinite? Would I have been able to defend Halo Infinite? The answer to that is absolutely not. If Crackdown 3 wasn't my breaking point, that probably would have been, because it's leave it to Xbox to take their biggest, most well-known, most beloved franchise that desperately needs to make a comeback, inject $500 million, which is like the most expensive game ever made, into the development of this franchise to help fund its comeback. Give it like 5 years in development after coming off of Halo 5, which was mostly a disappointment to Halo fans, to then get to a point where there's memes being made of your game because that's how much people find it comical and they're laughing at it. Leave it to Xbox. Do you see why I'm an Xbox doubter and why I'm a PlayStation believer? That's why. It's not, it's not difficult. I know that there's a lot of Xbox fans who are still mainly Xbox fans. They play on the Xbox platform, and they agree with me, and because they're saying the same things. They're like, yeah, we need to see better games. We need to see more, and we want the same thing, is what I'm trying to say. There is that small group of individuals who it's like, for them, it's not actually about the games, and it never really was. It's about something much stranger than that. I don't understand that mentality, but yeah, we all want the same thing. Sir Speaks like saying he was an Xbox fanboy and Crackdown didn't get love. Manny C, you're saying the fact that PlayStation's only competition for games is PlayStation says it all. LOL. Yeah, dude. Think about what this stream has basically been centered around. We're talking about Ratchet and Clank, this amazing gameplay showcase, at the same time that Returnal's also showing amazing gameplay, getting great review scores, and it's like, you love to see it, man. The competition. That's what it's all been about this whole time. And yeah. So I don't think I have much left to say on this, guys, other than that, like, first of all, I don't know why my stream was so broken. Also, real quick, but guys, we are at 638 likes, which is amazing. We have over 1,000 people still hanging out here with me, which, guys, you're awesome. The support you show with these streams is incredible. Keep it up. Really love that you guys love these streams because I love doing them. Please hit that like button. All right. I'm confident we can get the 700 likes. You guys can make my day right now. I mean, Ratchet and Clank and Returnal already made my day, but you guys can take it even further. Can we get the 700 likes? Yeah, we can. Can we get to 750? I think we can. Can we get to 800? If we get to 800 likes before the stream ends, well, I can't promise anything, but I'll be even happier. Jim Ryan sending all the love. Yeah. Dude, I do wonder sometimes if people like Jim Ryan or Herman Holst ever come across my channel. I doubt they do. Maybe they do. I don't know. The question is, do they listen in? And if they do, what do they think of me? It's like they secretly hate me for some reason. Wouldn't that be funny? But yeah, so hold on. Let me log into my 800 other accounts. Yeah. Well, we already made it to 750 likes. You guys are awesome. You guys are truly awesome, I know I say that a lot, but we have a really cool community here, and I just enjoy doing these streams. You guys give me a nice little outlet to talk. You're getting a dislike from the MBG because your fan base is toxic. We're not that toxic, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know I'm not ignorant to it. We do have some people in the community here that are very much, they're so PlayStation diehard that they need to dig into those Xbox fans and laugh at them. And I get it. I'll try to say to you guys, we can be better than that. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. You're saying they laugh at you in your tribalist brain. Dude, if anybody has been kind of like, I don't want to say defending, but really advocating for some of Sony, I don't want to say advocating, but understanding some of Sony's business decisions, it's me. I don't think they're laughing at me for doing that. I can't speak for them, but I would think they'd be like, yeah, this guy understands to a certain extent, right? But, we're all fans here. So to the PlayStation fans that are here, I know that I kind of egg you on a little bit, and I can be a little bit toxic myself at times, but I'm just being myself. I'm not a believer in forced positivity, but I am a believer in just positivity in general. So, let's just try our best to be fair and be good to one another because, at the end of the day, as cheesy as it sounds, like I said, we just want to play great games. That's what this is all about. And so I like making jokes. This whole console war thing, I think there's like an aspect to it where it's just fun. It's like being a sports fan, and like rival teams. It's fun to partake in that. And a little bit of a, back and forth, a little bit of pushing. But, the problem with it is people take it too far all the time. And it's like, that's where it becomes disgusting and ridiculous. And it's like, why is it this serious? And sometimes it can be easy to get roped into that crap, So it's just like, just try to enjoy yourselves. Let's just celebrate the fact that as PlayStation fans, we're getting 2 incredible exclusives pretty much back to back right before Sony, I assume, is going to have their big event where they show off more Horizon as well as other games. And Sony sprinkling some other smaller games into the mix as well, like Kenna Bridge of Spirits that we're going to be getting later on as well. And so, yeah, it's really good. It's a great time to be a PlayStation fan, and I hope that everybody who can get a PS5 is able to get one. It's quite unfortunate that this is still going to be a struggle. That effing gamer saying, I believe that Xbox can do better and I have faith in them. Sony needs a good competition. I truly hope that they bring something good to the table. Yeah, so I'll say one last thing here just to riff off of that before we end the stream. There are a lot of people in the gaming community who are big Xbox fans, and they actually truly believe that Xbox is already in the lead, that Xbox is leaving PlayStation behind. And believe it or not, I can understand where they get that mentality from because Xbox is doing things very differently. They're they have a $1.7 trillion company backing them up. Phil Spencer has access to what we call the war chest, that being Microsoft's unlimited funding. And when you put that together, yeah, it's like I can understand why you have that mentality. But I feel like when you start to look at it that way, you have to kind of alter your perception a little bit, right? Where it's like, if you sit here and make an argument for me, and guys, this is one last exercise I want to do, chat. I don't know how many, and I'm going to tell everybody in my chat, be nice to one another here, okay? Do not attack each other. But I know that there are probably some Xbox fans listening to this right now, like truly like Xbox fans where it's like it's your main platform and you really like them. And maybe you just don't like a lot of the things I have to say. For anybody who's in the chat right now, I want you to let me know to the best of your ability with some comments right now, like why you think Xbox is leading now, or why like it's almost a guarantee, or you think it may be a guarantee, you believe it might be, that they're going to end up leaving Sony behind. Because I'm genuinely curious, because I listen to some people, and it's like the reasons they give, it's like, they all just sound like big maybes to me. And I'm like, I'm not confident in that, Like, I'm not confident in being like, well, maybe they will. So here we go. You're saying, MBG, I honestly think Microsoft has improved so much PC gamer mentality into the console space, the quantity, the services, the relentless spec talk, watching hardware that looks like a dull tower. Yeah, maybe that's the angle they're going for. It's like we're going more of the PC gaming angle. I'm not seeing anybody say anything. So I'm gonna assume that there aren't. Somebody says almost 600 days since Xbox has any exclusives. That's crazy if it's true. Saying Xbox is its own entity. They can't steal money from Microsoft investors to give to Xbox franchises. Xbox is only worth what Xbox is worth. That statement was very ignorant. Yeah, you're right about that. I guess the reason why I make that statement is because it's like, we know at the very least that Phil can get the permission needed to buy a publisher like Bethesda, right? And that's like, yeah, that's dipping into some big funds there. That's some big money they're throwing around. But you are right. I mean, Xbox is a business attached to a much bigger, larger business. So they do need to make business-oriented decisions. It can't just be a spending spree with no return. CI, you're saying, just want to let you know I'm going to play Ratchet and Clank day one on Game Pass. Yeah, right? First it was this game can't run on Xbox. Now suddenly it's launching on the Game Pass. Yeah, you're saying, I'm an Xbox fan and I don't think Xbox is leading anything. The reason they're saying that is because they focus more on services like Game Pass and not the hardware. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like that's the thing that people like. You could say Xbox is leading an initiative that doesn't exist at PlayStation, and in that sense, they are leading their own market. Like they're creating a different market, and they are leading that market because they're creating something different, right? But I feel like I don't know. I'm really starting to ramble at this point. I do apologize. I tend to do that when I just continue to talk nonstop, but I'm having a good time here, and it's getting late. I'm starving. So we got over 800 likes. Thank you guys so much. You are awesome. I didn't think we could do it, but you definitely made my night at this point. And so you're saying Sony almost doubled Xbox in profit. Yeah, I mean, you're saying they are leading the services. Yes, they are. They are leading the services. And that's the thing is like, I really quick, I look at the competition that Microsoft is bringing to Sony when it comes to the value proposition. Like my question is, would the PlayStation Plus offerings, the lineups we've been getting, would they be as good if it wasn't for Game Pass? I mean, look at Games with Gold. It's abysmal, man. Like you could tell Xbox basically abandoned Games with Gold in favor of Game Pass. And I want to say like, no, I don't, if Game Pass didn't exist, I don't think the PS Plus lineups would be as strong. So I'm glad that they are, right? And I do wonder, that's the thing is like we can see Microsoft bringing competition to Sony in other areas. It's just when when are they gonna? You're saying Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3 they both have less than 1 million views. What? But they are super talented developers. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. Josh, you're saying I was going to buy Returnal, but I genuinely feel the difficulty. Well, you know what, Josh? Here's the thing. I don't want to say take a chance because it's an expensive game, and to be dropping $70 on a game that like you may end up not liking, not because you don't like the gameplay, but because it's like this is actually too difficult. I'm gonna be streaming it tomorrow as long as it comes in on time. You can come here, hang out with me while we play, and we'll see. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous as well. Now I beat all of the Dark Souls games. I beat Demon Souls. I beat Bloodborne. So I don't know what that means. Like if I'm a gamer that's good at hard games, I don't know. I feel like, I feel like at this point, a lot of people have beaten those games. So that's kind of what I'm going to be comparing it to. Because I won't lie, Bloodborne was very difficult for me in a lot of ways. That game was a struggle to get through. It did take me a while to get good. Demon Souls was a struggle at some parts. The Dark Souls games. So when I play it, I will be kind of comparing it to that. JECS Gaming, you're saying, I'm playing Returnal right now. It's cool so far, but it does get hard. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to the difficulty, for me personally, yeah, so Josh, let me know. You don't have to super chat this, but let me know, like, did you ever beat any of the Dark Souls games or Bloodborne? Because I mean, I'm feeling kind of confident. I'm feeling like, okay, like if I beat those games, and they were pretty hard for me, like I had a struggle with some of those games. I think I could. I think I could take on Returnal. You know, like I'm confident in myself. I'm not saying that I won't have a struggle, but for me, having a struggle with the Dark Souls games and whatnot, and Bloodborne, it was more of like a. It was more of like a, I want to get better. I want to do better. I know you're saying Returnal's nothing like Demon Souls. I know that. But I'm just saying in terms of like just difficulty, you know, like basically dying over and over again and having to keep going. But anyway, that's going to do it for this stream, guys, because I really got to go eat. I am starved right now. And I'm glad that we were able to turn it around. Obviously, that last live stream I tried to do was an absolute disaster, and I felt pretty terrible, but I was looking to really turn it around and have a good discussion and conversation with you guys. So a couple things before I go. Shout out to all my members. You guys are awesome. Am I playing Returnal at midnight? No, I'm waiting for my physical copy to come in the mail. You're saying you beat Demon Souls on PS3, Josh? Okay. Well, then we're kind of in the same boat, I guess, to a certain extent. I'm waiting for my copy to come in through the mail, so that should come tomorrow. I hope to stream Returnal tomorrow. I'm so hungry. I'm forgetting what I was supposed to say. Okay. So 2 things I want to plug real quick. First of all, I have a video talking more about Returnal's reviews. It's a more condensed video. It's only like 13 minutes long, very different than a live stream. But if you want to go see what reviewers are saying and what Housemarque is saying, go check that out. And I also have a new merch line that's out. You probably see it right now under the stream. It's actually pinned at the top. It's inspired by Returnal. It's very simple, but it's inspired by Returnal because, you know, I think Returnal's awesome. I'm going to have to order a sample for myself, but feel free to buy some of that merch if you want to help support me in a different way. But that does it, guys. Thank you all so much for your support here on the stream. Again, hit that like button before you head out. Thank you for all the super chats. You guys are amazing. And I will catch you hopefully tomorrow for another stream. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care.